Welcome to PB Link Stories. We explore the stories and uncover the business secrets of some of Britain's most successful entrepreneurs.
Aisti Naujokaitytė is originally from Jurbarkas, Lithuania, but moved to the UK at an early age. She studied at Liverpool John Moores University before originally embarking on a career in international real estate. She's now client director of MIT Ventures and president of the Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce in the UK. What has her journey been like? I'm Bill Mayer of PrecisionPresentation.com, and I'm on a quest to learn the secret of business. I think the answer is to be found among Britain's very diverse entrepreneurs. In PB Link Stories, I hunt down some of Britain's most inspiring people in business to find the person behind the success. To our listeners, if you stay with us through to the end, we are going to reveal the secret of business. Aisti, welcome to PB Link Stories.
Thank you, Bill. That was a very nice introduction. I'm quite impressed that you know where I originally come from, and the pronunciation is very good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Aisti, please tell us a bit about yourself and about MIT Ventures.
Well, like you said at the beginning, I'm originally from Lithuania. I've lived in the UK since I was 12 years of age. I started my career quite early, when I was 15, actually. So in total now I have 13 years of experience in sales. Sometimes I don't even believe it myself. I'm not sure where the time went. I had an interesting journey. I mean, I came to this country without a word of English. I was sort of not pushed to come here, but my parents made that decision on my behalf. And I find myself in a strange and different and very diverse country, and lived in London. And I think I took every opportunity that I had, and managed to go to university and studied real estate management in Liverpool, John Moores University in Liverpool. So overall, it was a great experience, and I'm very grateful for my parents for bringing me to this country, and this is my home. In terms of MIT Ventures, I joined the company 2 years ago, and it really aligned with my current values and outlook on employee engagement. And coming from an international business and the way they looked at their employees, I really missed that, and I felt like there was a lack of it. That's why when I had an opportunity to contribute to MIT Ventures and to help to build a business and acquire more clients and do what I do today on a daily basis, I was very happy with that. So MIT Ventures have been around for 4.5 years now, roughly, and we have in total 157 clients. They employ in total 100,000 employees, and we're seeking to double these numbers in the next couple of years. Our team has grown extensively. Our offices have been renovated just before the pandemic hit, so we doubled in size, and we're very looking forward to returning to the office and optimizing and making the most of that space. So that's in brief about me and my beginning in this country, and about the company that I work with at the moment.
Fantastic. So 100,000, so 157 companies who have in total around 100,000 employees.
Correct, yes.
Wow, fantastic.
So some of them are quite large. Some of them may employ 10 people. Some of them employ even 4,000 people. So they all vary in size. But I think employee engagement is so important, and regardless to your size, it certainly doesn't need to be overlooked, especially during the pandemic now as well, when most of the staff are on furlough and they are suffering physically, mentally. We are all going through this in different yet the same sort of stages. So it's important to look after your employees and let them know that even in most difficult circumstances, they can still rely on you and have that support. As when things do come back to normal, and they will go back to normal, they have the loyalty, because you know who your true friends are. They say in the worst case scenarios, don't you?
Absolutely. Now, I'd like to speak a little bit more about MIT Ventures and let you tell us a little bit about what they do, because it's quite a fascinating company. You mentioned employee engagement. Just before we do, I'm intrigued by your sales career starting at 15 years of age. What were you selling? You weren't selling real estate, were you, at 15?
I was.
You were?
I was, actually, yes. It's a fun, well, it's not a funny story. It's an interesting story, I suppose. I think when you're in year 10 or 11 in school, you have to do compulsory work experience for 2 weeks. And that's how it started. So I was 15. I had to do work experience. I didn't really do my research or, looked for a placement 2 months or 3 months in advance, like my classmates. Most of them sort of went into artsy places and, something they would find interesting. So I had this local real estate agency literally next door to my house. And then when time was running out, I was just like, I'm just going to pop in and ask whether they do work experience. So I did that. I popped in and I said, can I do my work experience here for 2 weeks? And they said, yeah, sure. So basically that's how it started. So I did my work experience there for 2 weeks. And then I extended that work experience up until I turned 16. So I was at the beginning, obviously, they were teaching me things about real estate and the way the estate agencies operate. And then they took me out on viewings, showing properties for sales and lettings. And then I was so eager to learn more. And I was so helpful that they said, do you want to continue this experience? And so I did until I was 16. And then when I was 16, I was officially employed by the company and I worked part-time. And then when I was 17, I worked for an estate agency in Fitzrovia, and then I moved and started working in rental departments and renting apartments that, were £5,000, £6,000 a month, and they were premium sort of apartments. And then when I was 18, and then I moved to Liverpool, then I worked for Benmores in Liverpool. So my sort of real estate career, it went on as long as then I started studying real estate at the same time. Because at the beginning, I just felt like this was work experience and this is something I do part-time. And then I realized I'm quite passionate about it and I like to learn more and do more. So maybe build buildings, maybe do greater things. And that's why I took that path. And then I studied the same thing as well. So yeah, it really, really helped.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Fitzrovia, very prestigious area of London. Correct. So yeah, you started very much at the top. Going back to MIT Ventures then, yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more about what MIT Ventures does, who your clients are, what you offer, your services?
Okay, so I think when we start a business, it's usually we start from some sort of idea, right? Whether we want to build something, whether we want to make something, whether we want to provide some sort of services, and then naturally you start employing people. And as a boss and as a managing director, you have to look after your staff, and the natural thing to do is to pay them a salary, give them a pension, give them holidays, and that's about it. That's what you have to do, and that's the law, and you can't go without that. But when you build a bigger team or when you have more people working for you, then you need to sort of go an extra mile and start thinking about what else can I do for my staff, because they are the true reflection of my business. And it helps my business grow, because they say it's a mirror, right? So if you have happy people working for you, happy guys and girls, then you're going to provide a better service for your end consumer, so to your client. And that's why some of the companies do that. And I'm very proud of the companies that go an extra mile and introduce employee benefits, but sometimes it's just a moral tick box. They put something in place, but they don't do the engagement and they don't teach their staff about it, the importance. They don't teach the staff how to get to use it. Or maybe they have 20 different benefits in place and it has 20 different login details and just so much information that you end up paying for something that doesn't actually function and work. And this is where the MIT Ventures idea came from employee engagement platform, where we put everything in one place and we build a platform, an app, or, it can be used on a desktop version, where your staff can find all of their benefits in one place. And at the same time, we give you an engagement team that would actually do the job for you and teach your staff and train them and constantly remind them how to use the benefits, why they are important, and it just works overall very well. So we have benefits range, anything from private GP services, and that's very important at the moment because GPs are overwhelmed with calls and patients. So you can call a GP and have a consultation at 24/7 service. You can get prescriptions delivered to your local pharmacy. It's just very convenient and very helpful. And, if you ever use one-on-one service and all respect goes to NHS. They do an amazing job at the moment, but they're trying to extinguish what sort of symptoms you have rather than figure out what your problem is. Whereas the GP that we provide, they focus on you as a person and your issues at that moment in time. Then we provide mental helpline support that's also available 24/7. Things like discounts on various grocery shops, Tesco, Asda, Marks and Spencer's, then retailers such as H&M, Ted Baker, Primark, the whole range. So it helps staff save around £2,000 a year alone just on grocery shopping and retail. I use the services myself. I sort of, this is like a game for me now. Every single day I see how much I save. In the last 2 months, I've saved £600. It's just the money that doesn't leave my pocket. So I'd rather see that sum accumulating instead of, spending that money anyway. And then we have training programs for staff so they can improve on some of their knowledge, understanding, especially when they stay at home. And one of the most fascinating, I think, things that we did, we adapted to the global pandemic immediately. As in March, within the first lockdown, in 2 weeks, we built a separate portal that was totally related to COVID and how to adapt to the current situation, how to do homeschooling, how to look after your children, how to engage them more, what sort of games you should play with them. Mental counselling was also adapted to that. So there was loads of advice of what's going on. We sort of, made sure that staff have all of the benefits in place, but at the same time, they are updating and they're keeping up with the current times and the current situation. So that was very helpful for the companies that we worked with. So there's loads of benefits, discounts on gyms, etc. I mean, I can go on for days if I really needed to. And in the long run, I mean, even when you go out there as a company and you're trying to gain contracts and you're competing with similar companies like yourself, there's so much that you can compete in terms of quotes and prices. But when you show your clients what sort of employee engagement platform you have in place, it gives them that assurance that you can provide them with a better service, and the employees that work for you will look after them better because of what you do for them.
Oh, fantastic. So this is like a 360-degree holistic view of the services that you offer. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it helps your clients' employees, but it also helps your clients because it helps them speaking to other businesses. Correct. That's a great way to look at it.
At the end of the day, our main job is to look after the business and to look after the company. So yes, we're going out there and providing the benefits for your staff. And our job, we outsource all of the services. We put them in one place. We make them look fantastic. The app is branded with your logo, so it looks as if it comes from you. But the main job is to help the business. And that's exactly what we're focusing on. That's why we provide business services as well, along with the benefits platform. We provide payroll processing. We provide law and legal support in terms of the employment law. We administrate your pensions for you, because when you create a business, like I mentioned in the beginning, you have an idea, you want to grow a business, but you sort of forget sometimes that there comes a lot of administrative hassle behind all of it. The back office, the stuff that you don't want to do, you have to do, but you would rather not do. So I often call us as a back office to a business. You go on and focus on getting more clients, building better things, and, do what you want to do. And we help you look after your business. We're like a foundation that you can stand on and make sure be certain that everything's taken care of. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And even during the lockdown, it was easier for me to speak to most of my clients and new clients and gain more clients, because although all of the information is out there in terms of furlough processing, and it's just sometimes people and companies need, a shoulder to lean on and a company that, they can trust in, and they know that we've been doing this for 157 companies and we know what we're doing and we can look after you.
Fantastic range of benefits, and I can see that that's really attractive to businesses. And there's also another, a special kick within all this. Could you tell us about the cost to businesses for all these benefits?
Well, they say nothing in life comes free, but MIT Ventures actually offer these services for free. And the natural question is why and how, and it doesn't make sense. But we have a very long-term business plan. And at the moment, we're offering these services for free because we're building scale, and it's all about scale. Okay, so the way that we make our money is we have 100,000 client employees going through a portal on a daily basis. A big number is not always a big number. It's a good number because, every single time the employee calls a GP helpline, that costs us money as a company. But every single time employee uses the discount portal, then we have a certain profit margin on that. So when you get a certain discount, then we have a deal with our providers and we get a certain percentage. That's why the more people we have going through the portal, the bigger the scale, the better the deals, and the better profit for us. Okay. That's why we give companies an engagement team to make sure that the staff use it. So we have a 90% engagement rate on daily basis going through the portal. So out of 100,000 people, 90,000 people use the portal every single day.
Wow. Okay.
So, when you go to your external providers and you go get certain discount portals for your staff, the engagement is usually not more than 30%. Mm-hmm. So we managed to get it up to 90% because this is how we make money. Okay. So we're negotiating with other providers at the moment, like for insurance plans and healthcare providers. I'm not going to mention names at the moment. So we're going to be able to get better deals for those companies that we work with. So, for example, a health insurance plan would be 40% cheaper than you would get normally because you employ, let's say, 50 people or even 4,000 people. But when we go and say we have 100,000 people, then we get a better deal and we get better profit on it. That's why for the first comers, we can provide these services free. In the future, we're planning to have 200,000 client employees, and we are very big in certain sectors. So, for example, recruitment, security, cleaning industry. So some of the companies in some of the regions, they can't compete anymore because, like I said, the staff would leave for 50 pence an hour. Now they would leave because they get additional benefits. So some of those companies are approaching us now and saying, we need your benefits because we can't compete with the company next door.
They've been your victims, as it were.
Yeah. So in the future, we are going to start charging our clients a certain fee per person per week. But that's a future business plan. And then we're going to honor all of the agreements that we have currently in place with the existing clients, and they're not going to have to pay a penny.
Fantastic. So for businesses who are listening to this podcast today, now is the time to get on board. This is your window of opportunity. MIT Ventures plans to be charging companies in the future, but if you get on board now, then you can get it for free and they'll honor it. So I think it's mitventures.co.uk. Is that where we will find you?
Yes.
There you go. That's fantastic. That's a great overview of MIT Ventures and what the company offers. It's really fascinating. Going back to you as a person, Aiste, looking at your career history, you've mentioned you had a real passion for real estate, and you were involved in international real estate. You progressed up the ladder. You're now obviously doing MIT Ventures. You've pivoted into the employee relations industry and the Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce in the UK, which I think we should talk about in a minute. What prompted your career moves?
Well, I did real estate for nearly 10 years, and that's a very long time, I reckon, for a young person to stay focused on one particular topic. But I'd say all of my experiences are vital and important in my career, and all of them gave me a great understanding of business and real estate. But the last role I was in as a franchise development director for international real estate, I think that gave me the most in terms of building a business, because that's essentially what I did. I mean, I worked for a company, but, a couple offices, one country, and my goal was to expand this real estate agency, real estate franchise to international, waters. So it gave me a lot of understanding of what it's like to build a company, what it's like, the hard job, because at the beginning, the franchises that I was selling, they were so cheap because we were just trying to make it happen. And then at the end, 5 years later, those franchises were so expensive, but it was just so easy because clients were coming to me now. And also the bigger the business, the bigger the issues, and the harder it becomes to keep your original cultural values within the company. And those values change when we reached around 500 people. it was very difficult to keep the good culture in the company. And I felt like we needed to motivate staff more. And, 80% staff turnover was just a ridiculous number. And for me, as a spokesperson, for me, as the face of the company that, carries this flag and says, this is the company to be in, and stand there every single month and deliver a motivational speech, was just becoming a bit difficult, because I just wanted to do something more for the people that work for us, so they wouldn't leave us so early without, maximizing their potential. So that's why when I had an opportunity to do what I do at MIT Ventures, it really aligned, because I was in a search of what's next and what I should do next and what I should focus on. And that shift for me was happening when I wanted to do something more for the companies, rather than just give them know-how, a franchise manual, making them all business, money. And I needed to work for a company where, one, I can make money, two, I can make it successful, and three, the culture, the values, and the job I do actually matters and makes a difference.
Fantastic. Yeah, of course. Makes perfect sense. And also makes sense that you went from a company that had a high staff turnover to a company that seeks precisely to minimize that sort of thing. So your career, you've done incredibly well. How have you found advantages, disadvantages, glass ceiling in building your career in the UK as a Lithuanian woman?
I often get asked this question, and I think from a perspective of an immigrant coming from a different country, coming into the UK, I think being Lithuanian and being European, we are perceived as harder workers, like we work harder, and that's what's expected of us most of the time. It was expected of me in school, it was expected of me in university, it was expected of me in my workplaces that I worked in, but this is not a bad thing. I mean, this is who we are, and that's what we are. And when you come to a different country, not speaking a word of English, and you have to adapt to a new culture, the diversity, it's natural that you do tend to work harder and you do tend to overachieve and maybe, overachieve basically. So in terms of the people and the employers that I had, I've never had any issues in terms of me being Lithuanian and me, if more than anything, I was always, perceived like a harder worker, like I just said. So I think for us though, for me as a woman, as a Lithuanian woman, I do find sometimes myself, when I had job interviews, when I would just go in there and it would play on my mind and I would just end up not being able to speak a word of English. It would just, my vocabulary would just go and I would just leave the place thinking, what the hell was that? So I think for us, we know that we are not from UK and we're not British and, we're not born in this country. So for us, it's harder. But for the people receiving us at the other end of the conversation, they always admire us and praise us and, and expect us to do great things. And they welcome us in the companies that we're trying to be in. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good news. Sounds like a bit of a double-edged sword, that you're a little bit more attractive as a prospective employee because you're an EU immigrant, as you said, but also it means that there's a bit more expected of you. You're expected to work a little bit harder than everyone else. So the rest of us British people can sit around and have a tea break. And then
I've learned how to do those too now.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. I love to hear positive stories of people in the workplace, people in business. Now, you're also president of the Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce in the UK. I think there's about 200,000 Lithuanians in the UK, half of them in London, round about where you are. But the Chamber does more than just look after Lithuanian businesses in the UK, and you have a long-term vision for the Chamber. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I've joined Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce back in April 2020. So I was just recently appointed as the president. And for me, as a Lithuanian businesswoman in UK, I was lacking and missing that business community, Lithuanian business community around me, because, I know there are so many thriving Lithuanian businesses in the UK that no one's ever heard of, or the business owners are so successful and they don't speak Lithuanian because they're a second or third generation in this country and they're not aware of what Lithuania Chamber of Commerce is. So, since Lithuania Chamber of Commerce was established in 2006, we sort of had a certain number of members, and the first comers, let's say, since 2000 or 2004, nothing's really changed. My job as the president and the Lithuania Chamber of Commerce is to change it a little bit, get more new faces in, younger generation, second, third generation, Lithuanian generation, and help us all, connect, support one another and grow. Because instead of offering them our services, and we do offer loads of services, and part of the offering we have MIT's ventures offering as well included in LCC UK. What I'm trying to do is get us all together, do business networking events where we can share our know-how and our knowledge amongst each other and help each other grow as a business, and also build a business community that would not only, work, but could socialize, go on trips and do things together, just to, surround yourself with the like-minded people. And that's my goal. We do work with Lithuanian companies from Lithuania that want to sort of build businesses in the UK, and we get them in front of the right people, and we work closely with the Lithuanian embassy and the commercial attaché. But my main goal is to probably support the businesses here in the UK. And that's what I'm trying to do, because I feel like we have so much to work with and so much to do that I'd rather not scatter myself amongst 20 missions that will be impossible, but have one great one and actually, do the best job I can.
How's Brexit affecting your members of the Chamber, the Lithuanian businesses, both here and in Lithuania?
Well, I think there was a lot of, misunderstanding and disinformation that was going around. And, the biggest challenge for everyone was preparing since 2016, since the referendum happened, and everyone, accepted the fact that the Brexit is going to happen. And all of us accepted a long time ago, despite the fact that many people haven't. It was devastating news for me. I'm not, I wasn't a supporter, but it is what it is. It was decided, and we all had to adapt. And that's exactly the path that we've all chosen. But the most challenging thing for our businesses, especially the ones trading in Europe, was the last minute decisions and the last minute trade agreements and the last minute, adaptations. So most of the businesses, they even had like Brexit strategists in place, per se, who, did a separate job just focusing on that and making sure that the businesses are prepared, and there are all sort of contingency plans prepared, plan A, plan B, etc. So I'd say, a lot of time and effort was invested in that. But overall, everyone's, dealt with it. If they had to move their offices into, other European countries, then they did that. But most of our members provide services in the UK only. So they didn't feel that change that much. And I think, the whole Brexit situation was also overshadowed by the global pandemic at the same time. So overall, we're okay. I've not heard devastating stories, and I'm hoping that's, going to stay that way.
Great. No, that's good. That's good to hear. And now, Aiste, and to our listeners, we move on to the final question, the one we've all been waiting for, and the one that we promised. Aiste, what is the secret of business?
I think the secret of business is passion. And I used to call, there's a Lithuanian phrase, but it won't sound great in English. I think it's all about the burning eyes, so the burning eyes, I always look for people to work with, and the clients and the businesses that have the burning eyes and have the passion and have the idea. If you can explain how your business, started up and what ideas you sort of, had behind it. Telling the story, that is something that people can relate to. That is something that people can love. And if you're passionate about it, it can translate in your body language, in your eyes, in everything that you do. So, it's not about making money, but but that's, as a business, that's the end goal, isn't it? You know, you can measure your success by the money that you earn, but it's actually being passionate about what you do. And I mean, in terms of my career and everyone that I know, successful businesses that I know, it was always about the passion and about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I truly advise that, you know, before you start your first business, have that idea and the passion behind it, and then you're going to be successful 100%.
Fantastic. The burning eyes of passion. That's what a fantastic note to end on, and it's really evocative. Aisti Nayo Kaitete, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you very much for your insights and for sharing your story with us. I wish I had more time, but we're going to stop now. Always leave them wanting more. To our listeners, be sure to subscribe to PB Link Stories as we hunt down inspiring entrepreneurs to discover the secret of business.
Join us at our next event and engage with the business community.